Hey everyone, so let us talk about this Leetcode problem, valid palindrome 2. You are given a string s and you have to return true if the string s is palindrome. And if it is not palindrome, then if you delete at most one character from the string, will it become a palindrome? If yes, then you need to return true. So you can check over here whether s is palindrome or not first. Yes, okay, s is palindrome. Why? Because ABA, when read from left to right and from right to left, it returns the same. So this is a palindrome, true. What about this string A, B, C, and A? So what we can do is, we know that this is not a palindrome. But if we delete B from this string, we get ACA, which is a palindrome. Or if we delete C from the string, you get ABA, which is a palindrome. That means in this string, if you delete just one character, you get a palindrome. So that is why you return true. In this example 3, we see that this is not a palindrome, and even if we delete any of the one character from the string, we don't get a palindrome. So we return false. Okay, so let us look at the approach. For that, let's take another string which is little longer. Okay, and what we'll be doing is we'll be doing a two pointer check over here. So we'll have a pointer I on the start of the string and a pointer j at the end of the string, and we'll be comparing the ith character and the jth character in a while loop. So our while loop will run from I till I is less than j. Okay, so what we'll be doing is we'll be traversing from this character A towards the middle and from J towards the middle. So first, in the first iteration, we check whether A is equal to A, yes. Then we check whether B is equal to B, yes. Then we check whether C and C is equal to true, equal. Both are equal, yes. Now we check whether E is equal to D. No, E is not equal to D. So what we need to do is, in this situation, when we find that the two characters are not equal, what we can do is we can skip one of the characters over here. So we'll say, okay, let's skip this character I and just jump one character again. So we come over here and over here and we check whether DFD, the remaining characters, are palindrome. If they are palindrome, that means by deleting this character E, we get that entire string is a palindrome. Okay, and similarly, we'll also have to check by keeping this E, D, and F as a string. So you are at this string E and D, and you find that okay, E is not equal to D. So that means what you'll do is you will first check with E, D, and F whether this string is a palindrome, and you will be checking with this string D, F, and D. So we'll be skipping one character from the left hand side and one character from the right hand side. And we'll be checking whether after skipping these characters, do you with the remaining string do you get a palindrome? If with the remaining string you get a palindrome, that means this entire string becomes a palindrome. Okay. So let's just see how it looks on the code. All right. So what I'll be doing is let's call let I equal to 0. We'll start our string on the ith index. Let j equal to s dot length minus 1. So our last index. Now we'll be calling a while loop on I less than j. And what we'll do is if s of I is not equal to s of j, then we need to do something. Okay. And we need to increment the count ith ith index, and we'll have to decrement the jth index. Okay. So basically, and while the while loop ends. Okay. So what I'm trying to do over here is I'm checking from start character S over here, let's say this A and A. We are checking these two characters. Assuming that this for loop is always returning true. I mean, this while loop is always giving you palindrome. So both the characters are equal, ith character and the jth character. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll check one character at a time. We get, then we increment this ith character and decrement this jth character. So this while loop will be executed correctly in case of a palindrome string. Okay, so what we'll say, we'll just say return true. Okay, so we have found our palindrome and we'll return true. Okay, now in this situation, what if our ith character and our jth character are not equal? Then what we need to do is we need to call this palindrome again. Okay, so I'll be defining a function palindrome in which I'll pass the string and I'll say that I want to check for the remaining characters by skipping the ith character because I know that I and jth character are not equal. So what I'll do is I'll say I plus 1, the next character, and the jth character. Whether all these characters between this I plus 1 and the jth character are palindrome. If they are palindrome, then you return true. Or you check that similar thing with j minus 1 character. Because now basically this means that you are going to delete the ith character or you're going to delete the jth character over here because you have encountered a difference. Okay. So if this function basically is going to again run a loop on the extracted characters over here, which I'll just write the code over here. So what I'll say is function palindrome, we get a string, then we get I as our number or the index, and we get j as our number. And what we do is we return a boolean. Okay. So basically I'll be just writing the same code over here because I have to go and look for this. And now I don't have to initialize anything because I already have I and j. So while I is less than j, if we find that okay, ith character is not equal to jth character, then obviously just return false. In this situation, we get a false. This comes over here, it returns a false for I plus 1th character. And if this also returns a false, then obviously this will return entire thing will be a false. And that means that whatever we are trying to check, even after deleting any of the one character, we will not be able to get a palindrome. So automatically this returns, the entire thing returns false. Otherwise, the example that we just saw, while escaping this character E and considering D, F and D, we get a palindrome. That means we return a true over here. So if any of the one of the this check returns a true, that means okay, we are able to delete one character and we are still getting a palindrome. So we return true. Okay. So what I say is S if S of I is not equal to S of J, okay, return false. And do run this while loop for all the characters while I is less than J. So J minus minus. Okay. And but this while loop has executed correctly. Everything is fine. We have I equal to J. That means we return true. Okay. So we have found our palindrome. All right. So let's just run this code. Let me just check once again. I is equal to 0. J is the last character. I run a while loop. I want to check each character on the start and each character on the end. And I return. If the two characters are not equal, then I call a palindrome on either I plus 1 and I'll call a palindrome on other j minus 1. If any of this returns true, we return a true. If any of this returns false, obviously this string is not palindrome, so we return false. Okay, let's just run this. Okay, so we have got an acceptance on our test cases. Let's submit this. Okay, so we've got an acceptance.